Citizen Zero ASMR here with a deck tech. Deck techs have been a bit requested, so I am going to do one today for one of my sillier decks. It is a modern deck, it is 4 colors, and it's really janky and weird. It's a dredge deck, which automatically means shenanigans, and basically I'll put a link in the description below to the deck it's based off of, but essentially you put good cards in your graveyard. Sorry about that. You put good cards in your graveyard and then you bring them back for cheap. So, fun stuff. I guess first we'll go over the cards that win you the game. So our first one, and I guess one thing I should say, I'm trying to use some newer stuff, because the main deck that's based off of uses some older stuff I just don't have, don't have the budget for, so just trying out some stuff. I don't think I'll ever play this competitively, it's just kind of for fun and casual play. So we have Zergo Helm Smasher, who actually does some work if he stays in the battlefield. He's a 7/2 with haste. He attacks each combat if able. He has indestructible on your turn, and whenever a creature dealt damage by him dies, put a counter on him. So he can go pretty crazy. Bringing this out for free is awesome. Now we have Blightsteel Colossus. It does not work with our bring stuff back from the graveyard strategy, because he cannot go into the graveyard. However, there are some ways to cheat him into play without putting him into the graveyard first, which you'll see later. So if you don't know, he's an 11/11 for 12 with Trample and Infect. He's indestructible, and if you go into the graveyard from anywhere, he gets shuffled into the library instead. Now we have 2 copies of Dragonlord Kolagon, who is a 6/5 dragon with flying and haste. Other creatures have haste, which is awesome for getting Blightsteel Colossus out, and then suddenly you have a hasty 11/11 Infect. And whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as a card in his or her graveyard, that player loses 10 life. So it's a clock, and it sort of deters your opponent from playing things. So those are the game-winning cards. The normal deck plays Elish Norn and Iona, which is a bit of a different way. It sort of turns off the opponent's deck and then just bashes in for damage. This is sort of a different approach, a little more aggressive. So next we have the cards that put things into the graveyard. So we have a few Dredge Cards. I didn't buy any of these. It's literally just the Dredge Cards that I had lying around in my collection, so not the best. No Golgari Grave Trolls or anything. We have Shambling Shell. It's a 3/1 with Dredge 3. You can sacrifice it to put a 1/1 counter on something, so if you play it instead of putting it into your graveyard, it does have an easy way to go back in. Stinkweed Imp, a 1/2 flying Death Touch for 3, but has Dredge 5. This is the one we want. We have a Golgari Brown Scale. It has Dredge 2, but when we dredge it and return it to our hand, we gain 2 life. We have 3 Greater Moss Dog, just a 3/3/4 with Dredge 3. Man's best fungus. So those are all the Dredge cards that I have, so I put them all in. 1 copy of Vessel of Nascency, a card from the new Shadows over Innistrad set that works pretty well. 1 green for an enchantment. We can pay 1 and a green and sacrifice it. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. So we get to filter through our deck a bit and put stuff in our graveyard. Speaking of which, we have 4 Faithless Looting, 1 red to draw 2 and discard 2, and has Flashback for 3. That's one of the key cards. And then we have 2 Tormenting Voice as a little other way to do it. So that's how we get stuff in the graveyard, but how do we get it out? Well, first one, trying out this card, Ever After, from the new set. 6 mana sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures from the graveyard to the battlefield. Each of them is a black zombie. In addition to its other colors and types, put Ever After on the bottom of its owner's library. So, we can return 2 things. only cost 1 mana less to cast with Flashback. We return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So doing that with Kolagon or something. And this is how we get Blightsteel Colossus out. See the Unwritten. Reveal the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a creature from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest into your graveyard. And if we happen to control a creature with power 4 or greater, we may put 2 creatures onto the battlefield instead of 1. So we have 2 of those. It's a junk 6 mana mythic from Cons, but it does work. That's pretty much the only way we get Blightsteel Colossus out as well. But since he gets shuffled into our library, if he goes into the graveyard, then it is easy to get him out with that. So, we have some removal. We first have Abrupt Decay. A black and a green for an instant, can't be countered. Destroy a non-land permanent with mana cost 3 or less. 1 copy of Drown in Filth, which also helps us put stuff in our graveyard. Choose target creature, mill yourself 4. Then that creature gets -1/-1 for each land card in your graveyard. So it's removal and self-mill. We have a Go for the Throat. 2 mana instant, destroy target non-artifact creature. We have 2 Doomblade. 2 mana, destroy target non-black creature. And 2 Oust. 1 white mana sorcery. Put target creature on top. Put target creature into its owner's library, second from the top. Its controller gains 3 life. So, some various removal. It's not the best removal, but like I said, this is a casual deck that I'm doing, so all my good cards are elsewhere. And then some other sort of utility cards. We have a Diabolic Tutor, which lets us tutor up our best card that we want, and then hopefully discard it with Tormenting Voice or with Faithless Looting. Search your library for a card and put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. 2 copies of Lingering Souls. We get 2 spirits, and it has a flashback in case we delve it or discard it. Then we have 2 Expedite, which is pretty much just for Blightsteel Colossus. Since our other creatures have haste, our other threats have haste, this is for Blightsteel Colossus. 1 mana, target creature gains haste, draw a card. So that's all of the regular cards. Then we have lands. Obviously, I'd have a ton of fetches and shocks in this if I was actually playing it and if I had unlimited money, but neither of those things are true. So we have a bunch of basics and enters tapped lands. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mountains, 1, 2 plains, 1, 2, 3 forests, and 2 swamps. And then a bunch of the Cons and Fate lands. Windscarred Crag, Scoured Barrens, Rugged Highlands, Bloodfell Caves, Jungle Hollow, Blossoming Sands. We're not playing blue, so get everything else. 2 Corrupted Crossroads is some additional mana fixing. Add a colorless, or pay 1 life and add a mana of any color. Unfortunately, it just casts a spell with Devoid, but I might have forgotten about that. I might have to change these out. I have not put much thought into this deck, so yeah. I'll have to find the other card that lets you filter your lands a bit, filter your colors. Whoops. You can tell I haven't spent too much time on it. 3 Evolving Wilds, search up our basics, and then Chromatic Lantern. So all of our lands tap for anything. So, that's it, guys. That's the crazy deck. The crazy dredging deck that actually doesn't suck too much. I don't think I'd ever play it in a real modern tournament at this stage of incompleteness, but you know, it's just fun to mess around sometimes and play casually with really good cards. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be sure to bring you more deck techs in the future. I hope this was relaxing. Let me know in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe. Sweet dreams, everyone.